All right, guys, welcome to Team Call. It is August 7th. I feel like we just had Team Call like a day ago. This week, just like from Tuesday to Tuesday, I feel like flew by for me. Um, so let me share my screen. I'm gonna mute everybody, but if you guys have anything you want to share, you're more than welcome to type in the chat box or just unmute yourself. But does anybody have any wins that they want to share? Business, personal, anything. You can unmute yourself. You can type in the chat box. I hit my goal of only drinking one time this weekend because usually I drink Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It was just Saturday, and I was pretty proud of myself.
Way to go, Alexis.
Thanks. Go.
I have something.
What?
So I told Alexis this already, but I finally feel like my relationship with like food is so different from To Be Mindset. Like for 7-8 years, I have been like struggling so hard, and like I'm like, wow, I'm not thinking about food 24 hours of the day. And like, I just eat when I'm hungry, like a normal person. Like, and it's so much of a relief. And I mean, it's a lot of different things. I think it's the combination of the coaching and Lift For and accountability and To Be Mindset all together. But it's just really awesome. So yeah.
It's a really good feeling. Like when you sent me that message, I know exactly how you feel, especially anybody that struggled with any kind of disordered eating or just struggling with eating in general. The feeling of just saying, I wish I could eat like a normal person, for somebody who doesn't understand that, like just kind of can't compute. Like, what do you mean eat like a normal person? Like, but when you spend years and years and years where everything is like every thought that ever like consumes you is all about food, and just like it's so obsessive that when you can finally breathe, it's like you're like looking at the world through a different pair of
Totally.
eyes.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I'm really, really happy.
Thanks.
Which you should totally think about doing the To Be Mindset certification. I mean, it's on sale right now, but regardless, it's always going to be around. And at some point, I know you're about to go back to school, but looking into that would probably be really great because since it spoke to you so well, you know, being able to talk about it and share with it and put your own twist on it. Because, you know, I know for me, I'm not huge on the scale. So with the whole thing with the scale, I've been trying to explain to people how you use it as a tool, and it's not something that, you know,
I honestly haven't been using that part of it, but
everybody can kind of do it, you know, in their own way. I think that that's really important. So that's why, you know, us as coaches can put our own twist on things, which I think is really great.
Yeah.
Awesome. You feel like you're in a groove of inviting. That is not a small win. That's a big win, because inviting is one of the biggest tools. I mean, it's one of the vital behaviors. So if you feel like you got in a groove, just keep riding it, keep making it work. That's awesome. Wendy said, I made the decision that I'm going to get Insanity certified when I get spinning certified so that I can start teaching group classes. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Teaching live classes is one of the coolest things ever. The feeling you get after teaching a class and that energy, and once you finally get into, I need to start teaching classes now that I moved to Miami, and I just found out that there is a Lululemon near me, so I need to message them, because you can actually teach at Lululemons and before they open up their things. Yes, awesome. Yeah. I mean, you can totally, you know, ask in the chat box. You can ask in here. You can ask me whatever. All right. Okay. So getting into some announcements before we get into the call. So like you saw, if you didn't see yet, in the team page, I posted the products of the month are both Beach Bars and To Be Mindset. Beach Bars are 10% off. I'm working on a message I'm typing up and sending through my email and personally to all my challengers and all of my coaches. Just a reminder, I mean, you guys might even get a message from me, but I'm going to send a reminder out to everybody that Beach Bars are 10% off right now. So you should be sending out messages to all of your past challengers. Somebody who maybe was in a challenge group before, somebody who's currently in a challenge group, maybe someone who didn't want to buy Shakeology. They're just got Beachbody on demand. Let them know Beach Bars, they haven't tried them yet. They're 10% off, right now. I would type just kind of a mass message and send those out to a bunch of people, because you never know who's going to, try those and like those. So you getting them, that's just, a tip for your own self. But they are the product of the month. So for those new coaches who don't know, product of the month just basically means if you purchase one of the products of the month, you automatically get your name entered in to win a prize. So I choose different things. Sometimes it's Beachbody apparel. Sometimes I'll just send you, a box of Beach Bars. Like it all really depends on whatever, I want the prize to be that month. So if you buy a box of Beach Bars, you'll get your name entered. If you buy 2B Mindset certification, which again, like I said in my Facebook Live, and I really recommend this, I would recommend getting 2B Mindset certification now because it is on sale for $99. But if you're not consistent with your business right now, if you still are kind of trying to get into a groove, if you haven't hit Success Club in the past few months, and this is just my opinion, you obviously don't have to listen to me, I just really don't recommend that you start the certification. I think the first one is September 18th. I really don't recommend that you start it because it's just going to be a distraction. And a lot of people think, oh, well, if I just start this one thing, that's really going to help my business take off. But I just believe with this, if you're not even hitting Success Club, and you haven't even gotten anybody to, start with 2B Mindset, you getting certified in it isn't necessarily going to change anything. Not that I'm saying it's not going to be beneficial to your business. I just want you to focus on doing the vitals and then totally rock it out. It's not that I don't ever want you to do it. I just want you to get more, consistent with it. So hopefully that makes sense. So if you do Beach Bars and you do 2B Mindset certification, you'll get your name entered twice. So you get, a higher chance of winning whatever the prize is at the end of the month. Okay, so some announcements. Why? Okay, that's false. Are all of these wrong? All of these are wrong. No. The things I have to announce are super important. Canva always does this. Does anybody else experience that? They edit a Canva thing and then they download it and it's the same things from before. I don't know. This is all.
Wait, I know why. So that happened to me too. So if you're texting in or typing in a text box, you have to click out of the text box before you save it, or else it will not save when you save it.
It's the weirdest thing. I don't understand. Well, thank you for that because it happens to me all the time. And I always check. Like the other day, I went to go do like the Success Club leaderboard and it said like from something from like 3 months ago. I was like, how is this even possible? Anyway, okay, well, let's wait for these to pop up. I even changed the little picture because it's August. I thought it was like vacation. I thought it was cute. Okay, so 2B Mindset, Live For, and Messy Boss all have specials offers this month, the month of August. 2B Mindset, the entire challenge pack, or any of the things are $20 off. Live For is $10 off, and Messy Boss is $10 off. Use this opportunity. Should be a opportunity for you to do a ton of follow-ups. If you reach out to anybody who wanted 2B Mindset or Live For, you can message them and say, hey, guess what? Especially 2B Mindset. Hey, guess what? 2B Mindset is $20 off. That means I'm pretty sure if it's any of the, the 99 or the challenge pack, but it's 99. That means there's $79 they can get 2B Mindset. So use that as an opportunity to say, hey, checking in back in with you. How was the rest of your July? I wanted to let you know since you were interested in 2B Mindset, it's actually $20 off this month. Wanted to see if today or this month was a better time. If not, no big deal. Just didn't want you to miss out on this opportunity. Something simple as that's all it takes. Team Clean Week starts August 13th. So this Monday, we'll be sharing the link to join the group on Friday. So you can add your people then. If people are wondering kind of when are you adding people, just wait till Friday. We'll share the link then. Beach Bar promo, again, is 10% off through September 3rd, so that's really awesome. You should take advantage of it. If you haven't tried the bars yet, they're really amazing. Me and Pat go through them like so much. They're so good. And just trying them to be able to share with people your experience. Also, ask yourself, when someone says they can't afford a challenge pack, are you giving them another option other than a challenge pack? So lately, what I've been doing when people can't, afford that, I will ask them, that's totally fine. Let's see if we can get you set up with something else, which I always do. But I'm offering Beach Bars like right off the bat. Letting them know, well, if you do you like protein bars? Do you eat them? Like mentioning them. So just because somebody can't get a challenge pack does not mean that you can't offer them something else. When you guys see, especially new coaches, see us post that 500 PV thing, that PV at the end on Friday when I do, here's the leaderboard, here's the people who are hitting Success Club or close to it, and then we do those 1,800, 900 PV numbers. That number you get to by selling things like Beach Bars and 3-day refreshes and Energize. So that's kind of what you can focus on because it's not just all about challenge packs. Also, for those of you that are using the My Challenge Tracker app, and type in the chat box, who uses the My Challenge Tracker app? I know I personally don't. I will as soon as they create the live feature, I'm all about it. And if they can create GIFs in there too, but they haven't done that yet. But I think this is actually really cool, and it made me kind of be like, I might want to use the app. And I've had a lot of people lately ask me about the app. But the My Challenge Tracker app now syncs with Beachbody On Demand, your customers' Beachbody On Demand, and the nutrition app. So when they're logging their workouts and logging things on Beachbody On Demand, it automatically goes to the app, which I think is really, really awesome. And the nutrition app, which I use for 2B Mindset, and tracking their containers and things like that. So in case you're using the app, let your challengers know that that's available. I'm sure they have to update. Also, the challenge of the week. I want you to ask yourself these questions. So are you talking about coaching in your challenge groups? I realize I haven't been doing this. I used to do it all the time, but I'd say for maybe the past few months, I realized I haven't been sharing sneak peeks in my challenge groups for some reason. I don't know why. But think about whether you're running, a challenge group on your own or with another coach. Make sure that you're trying to sprinkle in coaching in the challenge group, whether you talk about a sneak peek or you are, just sharing something about coaching, or just the fact that, hey, you can join, as a coach as well. Make sure you're talking about that in your groups. So my challenge for you this week in your challenge group is to somehow find a way to talk about coaching. You can even talk about our sneak peek, even though it's not going to be till the end of the month. Just something you can share about. And if you aren't running a group, then I simply want you to write down your challenge of the week is to make a list of 20 people who you think would make great coaches, whether that comes from your friend group or just people who you see on Instagram who are rocking it. Start building relationships with them on social media right now, commenting on their Instagram stories, liking pictures, commenting, getting to know them. So you have people to invite when our sneak peek comes up. So there's no excuse. And then 3 weeks from now, you can't be like, well, I don't really have anybody to invite to coaching. So that's my challenge for you this week. Okay. So that is it for that. Sorry, I had to click out of there. Okay. So next we're just going to get into this. I don't have slides. I just have notes on my phone because I want this to be interactive. So I hope you guys are down with that. Make sure you have a pen and paper because this is going to be really important. So we're going to talk about the difference between your purpose and your why. So when I went to the Shaun T retreat, which was, babe, can you turn that down just a little bit? Sorry, I was playing video games. It's like shooting and bombs and grenades. It's a little distracting. So when I went to the retreat a few weeks ago, and I went to the Shaun T retreat, and we did all the awesome fun things, we got a Zoom call from Christine Dwyer. If you guys don't know who she is, you should know because she's like your grandma upline. She is, which I didn't find out, this is just like a little fun fact. You know how there's a left leg and a right leg to your business? Well, when a company like Beachbody opens up their company, they actually have multiple legs. They reach out to people who are really strong in this kind of business, and they ask them to basically be the top of a leg. So there's Beachbody has its own leg. Then there's Christine Dwyer actually has her own legs. And there's a few other founding people who have their own legs. So Christine Dwyer, who is actually our upline, is the person who's at the very, very top. So she has people for the past 9 years on her team. So she knows her stuff. And what she talked about, she was saying the difference between your why and your purpose. And she was saying, we constantly talk about asking your coaches, what is your why? What is your why? What is your why? But she said, we need to start focusing on people's purpose. Not that you can't have a why, but we're going to talk about that. So this first part of the talk is going to be kind of quick. I'm just going to talk about the difference between this. And then we're going to do some like writing some things down and then sharing. So I really ask for you guys. Not everybody has to share. I know not everybody's comfortable, but for those of you that are, if you could interact with me, that would be awesome. But first, let's talk about your why. I want to put my phone up here. Okay. So you've heard it 1,000 times. What's your why? This is something, the way you can kind of think of this is the difference between purpose, which I'm going to talk about in a second, is that your why is something that is attainable. It is a goal. So your why could be, maybe you know, in the beginning, it's just losing weight or being able to play with your kids, being able to be a stay-at-home mom. Maybe you're going to work your business to be a stay-at-home mom, never having to worry about bills, having a dream home, dream car, dream wedding, paying off debt. So that might be one of them. So if you guys could share, I'm going to list mine. So just share just one or two. What is your why? What is the kind of reason why you want this business to work? So just type in the chat box if you could. For me, some of my whys, I have multiple ones. And if you're a new coach, you might kind of still be figuring that out, and that's okay. So just share anything. But for me, one of my biggest things is to be able to bring Pat home from corporate America. I want to retire my mom. I want to pay off all of my debt. I don't really have a lot of debt. I more have like hospital bill debt type things. I want to be able to pay for my own wedding. I want to be so abundantly wealthy. And I don't mean that like baller, like DJ Khaled status. Like I just want to be like abundantly wealthy in all aspects, not just money, but in like spiritually and mentally and physically, just so abundantly wealthy that I can help, you know, anybody that needs my help in any way that I can. So those are just some of my whys. And I've honed in on them because I've been doing this for a long, long time. Okay, so thank you guys for sharing. So flexibility to stay home, take care of my kids, lose weight, have a better mindset with food. That is actually something that was definitely one of my whys in the beginning. Pay off debt, stay at home, because so a lot of people, you know, in the same category, paying off debt, being able to stay at home with kids, start a college fund, create your own success. I love that. Dad came from nothing and made something of himself. That's really awesome. And that really is like, you know, that legacy that you really want to build, especially if you're going to have kids later on and you want to share that with them, pay off student debt. Awesome. So a lot of these are all the same in terms of like being able to stay home with kids and paying off debt. And for a lot of you guys who maybe don't have kids yet, that is something that, you know, you can look forward to. So while your why is great and you should have a why, because I'm going to talk about purpose, that doesn't mean you shouldn't have a why, but while that's great, it's something that is a means to an end. It's something that you can attain. And once you attain it, what happens after that? What's going to motivate you after that? Now, obviously your why can change, but let's talk about your purpose. And when Christine talked about this, I was like, whoa, that makes a lot of sense. And I've been really, really thinking about it a lot lately. So the difference between your why and your purpose is that your purpose is different from your why because it is something that you work towards every day, but you never can attain. So you work towards it every single day, but you never can obtain it. So what does that mean? For example, my purpose is helping women with things like PCOS, eating disorders, or just a general lack of self-love, learn to love themselves again. Also showing women that they can take control of their lives mentally and financially and dream bigger than they ever thought. Because I kind of have like a challenger purpose and a coach purpose. Both of those things I can work towards every single day, but I can never obtain because even if I help a woman who struggles with eating disorders, there's still other women that I can reach. But if I want to stay at home with my kids, once, like, let's say that's one of your goals, once you get to the point where you're, you know, matching your income and you can stay home with your kids, you're going to obtain that. But that, you know, that can fade after a while. So your purpose has to be something that is really solid. It's kind of similar to like what your mission statement is. So this could be something that's going to take a bit to figure out, but I promise if you think about that every single day, and that's going to take some time, and we're going to ask you some prompting questions to help you figure it out. So we're going to write some things down, and then I'm going to have you guys share, so make sure that you write. But these are just some 6 questions that are going to help you figure out your purpose. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time to write them down. And I'm going to write them down with you. Even though I kind of have my purpose, I'm still going to write them down. Number 1. Make a list of 5 to 10 things that you've struggled with in your life, whether it be physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, you know, whether it's physically in like, you know, weight loss stuff, or maybe physically like you have some kind of autoimmune disease or something like that, anything. So physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, any way, shape, or form. Just make a list of 5 to 10 things, just one word. It doesn't have to be like a super long like paragraph or anything like that. So I'm going to just give everybody this shouldn't take too long, but I'm going to give everybody a little time to answer all of them. And then we're going to kind of share and brainstorm. And then you're going to leave this call with basically like almost like not an elevator pitch because that sounds weird, but like a phrase that you can say if someone were to ask you, what's your purpose? You're going to be able to write it down and remember it all the time. Okay. So the second thing is make another list of 5 ways that you've learned to deal with these situations or ways in which you've changed in those situations, even if it's just a little. So for example, maybe you struggled with an eating disorder and you're not fully past it, but you've learned some ways to kind of move through it. So it doesn't have to be that you've solved all the problems, because who really has all their problems solved? So another list, and you can, again, this is like short form, because you can later on work on this deeper if you'd like, which I recommend. So a list of 5 ways that you've learned to deal with these situations, or ways in which you've changed in working with them, even if just a little. Okay. And if you're not finished, it's okay. Again, you can work on this a little bit on your own. Number 3, because I kind of want everybody to share, one of my favorite kinds of calls that we have is when you guys get to hear from other coaches and listen to what they have to say. I think that speaks volumes, and it just helps us kind of bond as a team as much as we can, even though we can't have retreats all the time. Okay, so number 3, name 3 personal development books that have helped you massively and list why. Again, doesn't have to be super long sentence. But just a personal development might take a little bit to think of it, but some personal development that's really spoken to you, and why has it specifically spoken to you or helped you in some way in your life. Okay, and number 4, what do people usually come to you with questions about? Doesn't have to be since you started Beachbody. I know for me, a lot of that has come from being a Beachbody coach for this long. But if you're a newer coach, just think of something that like you could say, oh, a friend would, if they needed help with this, they would totally ask me about it. Even if it's something like, it doesn't have to be something super serious. But just think of maybe 1 or 2, 3 things that people usually reach out to you for help with. A friend always knows they can come to you, for maybe you're just a good listener, just anything in that realm. Okay, the last 2. The 5th one is, what kind of person were you before Beachbody? And if you're a brand new coach, that's okay. Just think of even just one way that you might just think differently. I know I was a coach for like a week and I already was thinking differently. So I know you can think of something. Just being in a challenge group alone, a challenger could probably answer that question. So what kind of person were you before Beachbody? What kind of things, did you struggle with? And I know that 1 and 5 might be a little bit similar, but even if you can kind of put a name on the kind of person that you were you really mean? I know for me, I was a really mean person. I was a liar. I was a mean person. I was an angry person. That was the kind of person I was, like not at all what anybody knows me as today. So whatever kind of name you can put on it. Okay, and then the last one is, what is something you've done that you are proud of today? That can be something that you've done in your business. It can be the fact that you've birthed a child, which is obviously an absolutely incredible thing. I am frightened to do. So anybody who's already done it, good for you, because I am scared of it. But it could be something like that. Maybe it's the fact that you've got outside. Like it could be a million things. And don't think like, one is better than the other. It is totally, different for each person. I don't trust you. I don't believe you. I've seen too many horror stories, Talia. Yeah. But I also, I know if I have to have meds, I will, but I know I want to have like a water birth type of thing, and I know that that'll be some serious ass shit, but okay, so while you're kind of working on these things, I want to hear from you guys some of your answers. And then when we are at the very end, we're going to spend about 5 to 10 minutes kind of turning all of these lists. So kind of while you're listening to people, I think it'll be helpful to maybe get some ideas and to hear different things. And I think it'll just kind of help. I personally feel like when I hear other people talk about things, it just helps like some light bulbs go off. So at the very end, once we're done kind of hearing about everybody's things, and you can obviously write notes as people are talking, we're going to spend the last 5 to 10 minutes turning this whole big list basically into a purpose and a mission statement. So I'm going to read you really quick. I know you kind of guys just heard it, but hopefully it'll give you guys a little bit of time to get your thoughts together. And then, how I connect it to my purpose. So for the first one, make a list of 5 to 10 things you struggle with in your life. For me, it's been eating disorder, emotionally abusive relationship, struggle with self-love, PCOS, really broke constantly all the time, super negative. Number 2, make a list of 5 ways you've learned to deal with those situations. Therapy, personal development, coaching itself. I have no idea. I can't even read my handwriting. I just wrote that like 5 seconds ago. No idea what that was. Oh, gaining work ethic through coaching, visiting doctors, meditations, affirmations, personal development books that have helped me. Women, Food, and God helped me with my eating disorder. The Power of Now helped me with depression. And Girl Boss helped me to really wake up and be like, I need to be a badass. Things people come to me for: nutrition, PCOS, self-love, shuffling. Just wrote that down. I'm really writing a purpose about that. The kind of person that I was, like I said, angry, mean, liar. And 6, something that I'm proud of myself is that I built myself from the ground up, from being, super negative, homeless person to being, the person that I am today, growing a business and being a leader, something that I'm really proud of. And so what I've done with all of those things as my purpose and my mission statement is helping women that have struggled with things like PCOS and eating disorders or general lack of self-love, learn to love themselves again, and empowering women to be able to dream bigger than they've ever dreamed before and take control of their lives mentally and financially. So that's kind of what I've turned it into. I think about that every single day when I'm sending my invites. I want to help other women whether it's inviting them to a challenge group or inviting to coaching. I want them to experience that. So let's go into this. So who wants to share some of the first ones? And these can just be kind of quick. I just want everybody to kind of share these things and you could unmute yourself. You can type in the chat box if anybody wants to unmute themselves. That'd be grand.
Okay.
Yay.
What's the first one? Like what we have struggled with?
Yeah, just like a few things that you've struggled with in your life. Actually, you know what? If you're comfortable, we might as well just have anybody that goes kind of just quickly go through and share all of those, because it really wasn't a lot to share those because you just sharing.
I'll name like my main one.
Yes.
So before like coaching and working out, I would drink a lot. Like I suffer from anxiety a lot, and so that was like my coping mechanism. I drank when I was nervous, when just pretty much like to calm any type of like anxiety or nerves I had, and that has completely gone away. I haven't done that in a really long time, and now I just drink wine because I like the taste of it, not because it helps me. It's just I enjoy drinking it.
Awesome. So what are some of the other ones? So what are some of the ways that you've kind of learned to move through that? So instead of, drinking when you're anxious, what are some of the ways you've kind of learned to move through the anxious?
I love cleaning. I know I'm weird, but I love cleaning.
Not weird at all. I love cleaning too. My mom thinks washing dishes is therapeutic. I just let her.
Yeah, it is. But I love cleaning, personal development. I call my mom a lot. I go on walks. I sometimes watch like funny movies, just things that really help me so I'm not going backwards.
Yeah. So what are some of name like one personal development that's helped you the most?
Mastering Your Inner Mean Girl really helped me because she struggled with some of the same things, and that book really changed my views of myself.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that book is definitely one of my favorites. So what do people usually come to you with questions about?
Meal prepping a lot. I get a lot of self-love questions. Why are you so happy? Like life is not that great that someone just goes around being happy all the time. It's another one.
When people say that, because it's like I'm just sharing.
I know, yeah.
It's not that I'm happy all the time, but I'm just not spewing negativity like most people.
Exactly. I get a lot of I work with 3 to 5 year olds, so that's a lot of questions I get to, like how to manage that as well. So those are just some of the few things.
Awesome. So then, since the fifth one is pretty much the same one as the first, for the last one, what is something that you've done that you're really proud of today?
Through the last 4 years, I've lost 53 pounds and kept it off. So,
girl, that's awesome. That's like a 8-year-old.
Yeah, I am smaller than I was in middle school, and that was huge for me because I've always had more curves than most girls, and I've always just been a little bigger than people in my class that were really skinny. So that was a huge deal for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. I know it's not easy to always share that. Okay, so who else wants to go? Somebody else.
I'll go.
Yay!
All right, so the first one, say that again.
First one, go ahead.
First one, make a list of 5 things you struggled with. Digestive issues, self-esteem, fear, getting pregnant, anxiety, negativity, and low energy. 5 ways that I dealt with these situations were personal development, kind of just pushing past fears, like just doing it, taking chances, committing to something, prayer, counseling. 3 personal development books that helped. Wow, I think I wrote 5.
I know, I kept writing for forever.
I would say the top 3 were definitely the Power of Self-Discipline, because I really just had struggled with committing to something.
Who's
kind
the
of
author of that book?
Say that again.
Who's the author of that book? Because I feel like that would probably help a lot of people. I feel like I've heard it, but I don't think I've read it.
Oh my gosh, Brian Tracy.
Oh, Brian Tracy. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's power of self-discipline, no excuses. That was like big.
Got it.
The 5-second rule was
Yes.
huge too. And Miracle Morning was amazing.
Awesome.
So next question was, what do people normally come to me for? Pretty much everyone comes to me for health and fitness, but recently I've been getting comments and questions about like making my son's baby food, because I make all his food.
Oh my gosh, like I always, well, not joke about it, but when I'm always using an example for like what you should make a free group about, I always say, if you know how to make baby food, you should make a 5-day free group about that. You could totally make a 5-day free group about learning how to make baby food, and you would
That's
get
a good idea.
people in your group. I created a 7-day meditation group, and I get so many people in it. When I was running it consistently, I was signing like 5 coaches a month from that started in my meditation group. They would start in my meditation group, then I'd invite them to my free group, then I'd invite them to my challenge group, and we've created that connection and relationship, and they've built that trust. So I would really recommend thinking about, doing that. Like day 1, you can, talk about the different kinds of foods. At day 2, you can talk about the jars, and day 3, you can talk about how you make it, and day 4, you can make a Facebook Live video about it. Day 5, I don't know, take away a prize, but that would be a really good,
That's a really good idea.
If I was a mom, I would want to know how to make baby food, and I would rather follow somebody like you who I knew versus like just looking up somebody's random blog. So
yeah, good idea. Okay.
Then number 5, but just the 6th one. What is something that you're proud of today?
Yeah. So what I'm proud of today was, I guess, just having the courage to keep going and not give up, because this business isn't always easy, and wanting to do something for you, especially wanting to make my own success. It's been a bit of a tough road to get through some of those things, but like I'm still here. So I'm very proud of myself for that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. For those of you who wrote in the chat box, that's totally fine. You don't have to like unmute yourself, but if you want to, Wendy, it's okay. Yes. I just had a problem with that with somebody in their Zoom. They didn't realize that their laptop didn't have a mic. But for those of you that did comment in the chat box, if you kind of want to share the ways in which you've worked through those things, the personal development books that have helped, what people come to you for, and then the other ones, just giving people different ideas, because I'm going to have 1 or 2 more people share if they want to, unmuted, and then we'll spend the rest of the time just kind of coming up with purpose, and then at the end, if anybody wants to share their mission statement, and I'm also here to help that. So does anybody else want to unmute themselves and share?
I will.
Yeah, I knew you would.
I don't have as many coaching things since I'm super new, but still.
That's good. That's the exact reason why you should share, because you're giving an example from a different perspective.
So things that I've struggled with, battle with food, like I talked about, binge eating disorder, anxiety, and also with that kind of like risk aversion to trying new things, lack of confidence, lack of self-love, PCOS, and like yo-yo diet and exercise all in one thing, on and off, back and forth. Ways to deal with them, eating lots of good food and not restricting has helped me immensely. Meditation and exercise have helped with my anxiety. Also having like positive figures in my life and on social media, and with this too, with Team Confidence too. Also keeping myself busy has helped me with my anxiety and all of that too. If I sit around too much, it is downhill. Let's see. Also, again, no restriction, and also taking risks, like Talia said, like putting yourself out there and kind of going into the things you're afraid of has helped me a lot too. And I have my parents to thank for that. They made me do a lot of things as a kid that I did not want to do, and they always ended up great. So
yeah, I think that's honestly, I'm glad you both said that, because I honestly think out of all things, there's lots of things that can help. I don't think there's anything more powerful than just doing it anyway. And I know for people who can't do that, they're like, well, that's the reason I can't, because I can't just do it anyway. And I know it's like hard, but like you have to find that like medium, not even medium ground, but that sweet spot where you can just throw yourself into it. And maybe you find an accountability buddy that forces yourself into it. But I agree wholeheartedly that just whatever it is that you're struggling with, finding a way to just do it, just try whatever, try not to do whatever it is super important.
Yeah. And when I think about who I would be if I hadn't done certain things, it just like blows my mind, because I would be such a different person and I wouldn't have done so many things. Yeah. And then 3 books that have helped me, Brain Over Binge, 5-Second Rule, and Women, Food, and God have all been super. I read Brain Over Binge twice, maybe more than that. But it was
I haven't read it. That's a good.
really, I mean, it's kind of more about the like biological reasons, and that really helped me understand my issues. And I think that I'm a very analytical person, so hearing that from like a biological standpoint really helped me.
Yeah, I think if you separate the emotional and add the science in there, it kind of helps you make sense of, okay, this is why. And instead of beating yourself up, you're like, okay, there's like kind of some reasons behind why this is going.
And it's good because it is medical, but it's not super like jargony either. Like it's very easy to understand for a person who's like not sciencey like me. Highly recommend. And then what people have come to me about, my parents are actually therapists, so my friends have always come to me because I'm a good listener, because I think just naturally I've grown up in that environment. But also when they have like conflicts with friends or family, also if they want advice on like travel and also like living abroad, I've always been the person to come to that too, because I've had that experience. And then for number 6, number 6, the thing I'm most proud of is the fact that I lived abroad in a country with a different language than my first language and like thrived for 2 years. I found an apartment, I applied for my visa, I had a job, I went grocery shopping, all the typical things. And it's really, really emotionally and mentally exhausting to do that, but I did it for 2 years. So that's what I'm most proud of.
You're a badass for that. Like living is freaking super awesome. Awesome. Okay. So since we only have 15 minutes left, I just want to spend these next few 5 to 10 minutes. And if anybody has a question, type in the chat box, unmute yourself, ask me, I'm here for help. But just spend the next 5 to 10 minutes trying to basically formulate this list into a kind of 1 to 2 sentence phrase that you could say. Like if I came up to you and said, what's your purpose? Not what's your why, but what's your purpose? You know, what's the purpose of why you do this whole Beachbody coaching thing? So let's spend, the next 5 minutes writing that down. And then once you're done, type done in the chat box. And just because you have, it typed up doesn't mean that it won't change or you won't kind of tweak it a bit. But if everybody is done at a certain time, then we can always, go over it then. I kind of just want everybody to share. But when you're done, you can just type done in the chat box so then I know that you're done. Or if you have any questions, let me know.
Oh, Alexis, I have a question about like conversations and inviting and stuff like that. So I guess like with inviting, like I've been kind of doing the copy and paste thing and like, which is really good because it actually gets me to just do the invites. And a lot of the invites I'm doing is the cold invites too, because I'm trying to build my list back up because I don't really have a lot of people to talk to at the moment. But I guess if someone says they're not interested from a cold invite, for example, like I said, have you ever thought about online coaching and wellness and all of that? And they say, no, not really. I'm not interested in that. Do you typically just kind of take them off your list and invite them to something later? Or I guess I'm trying to figure out kind of like where the line is to keep them on the list or not. Oh, unmute yourself.
I always do that. That's a really good question. So it really all depends. I think a lot of these bits and pieces of the business are a lot about intuition. So when it comes to a cold invite, if I'm just like, usually I don't ever really like cold invite to a group. The only time somebody's kind of getting a quicker message from me is if they like something. The only time I'm really cold inviting is the coaching. So when it comes to that, if I invite them and they're somebody who like I really, really want to like have on my team and they seem like they're super cool and I'm like, oh my gosh, this girl's got tattoos, like we would be best friends, I will keep interacting with them. But the thing is first off, before I get into that part, if they say just no, I'm not interested, I know it feels weird, but if you're already kind of getting over the fear of sending the quit invite, I'm going to add more of like the pain to your stomach. You have to ask them why. So if they say they're not interested, I will say, oh, that's totally fine. I kind of felt the same way too. Just curious as to, why aren't you interested? And I know that kind of feels weird, like, why aren't you interested? But I kind of, put some smiley faces and some hearts and be like, oh, totally understand. And I sometimes will say like, if you don't answer, that's totally fine. I'm just curious. And a lot of times I will get people who I would say more than not will respond back to me and say why. And sometimes they'll be like, they'll say like the silliest things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's totally not even it. Like, let's give me your number. We can totally chat. So it's always important that you ask, what's the reason you're not interested? Or even if they say they're too busy, from the book, Get Over Your Damn Self, she always says the objection that they give, ask them back in a question. So if someone said, oh, I'd love to, but I'm just too busy, I'd say, oh, I totally understand. I felt the same way too. How much do you think, or how much time do you think it would take to be successful in this? And then they'll say, I don't know, 15 hours a day or something ridiculous. And you're like, no, it's not. So asking them back in the question. But then when it comes down to whether they're, not interested or not, the only time I'll really keep, maybe interacting with them is if I really, really want them. But if I'm like, I don't really know if I'm feeling the vibe, or they're like, just like, no, I'm just like, I don't even bother putting them on my contact list. I don't contact them. The only time I'll keep interacting with them is if I just really vibe with them and I love their page. Then I'll use my Google Streak and I'll set a reminder and I just interact with them. They're on my list of the people I'm interacting with currently. Like I have a bunch of girls like that right now who've told me that they're not interested, but I'm still interacting with them every 2 to 3 days. I'm liking pictures, commenting on Instagram story. And I've gotten plenty of people that have eventually come back around. And sometimes I will re-invite them. I'll, re-invite them. And I have a re-invite coach message where it's like, hey, I won't send that like super early. Like if I send a coach invite, on the 1st of August, I'm not going to re-invite them to coaching till probably another month and a half down the road. But it'll basically be like, hey girl, I know I invited you to coaching before and you said it, it wasn't the right time or you weren't really sure, but I can't stop thinking about you. I really think you would be such an amazing part of this team. And if you wanted to set up a call, I'd love to chat with you more about it. I don't know if now is a better time. If you're still not interested, I promise, no big deal. I just, had to check in again. And I've had some people be like, you know what? I kind of do. So a long answer, a usual long Alexis answer to your question. That's kind of what I do.
Okay, so the last thing to pick your brain. How long, like in the beginning, would you say that you kind of like built up a good list of people to actually start like hitting Success Club and all that? Because like I've been a coach for probably 4 or 5 years now, but I wasn't doing like the things you're supposed to be doing. And so I was like, that's why I've gotten back into this, because I'm like, you know what? Let me actually try this by actually doing what I'm supposed to do and see if it works. And I know like this month I may or may not hit Success Club, mostly because I'm just kind of starting fresh again and like getting everything going. So I don't know, like in your experience in the beginning, like how long do you think it took you to kind of start like building that momentum of like being able to hit Success Club?
So first of all, you will hit Success Club. You've already hit Success Club. It's already happened. The points are there. But so I recommend this from the get-go is building a contact list every single week. If you go by Grant Cardone and 10xing all of your goals, and you go by the rule of thumb for go for no, for every 10 people you talk to, you're going to hear 9 no's, you're going to get 1 yes. So that means if you want to get one person in your group, you have to invite at least 10 people. So if you want to help at least 3 people to hit Success Club, minimum every month you need to be inviting and reaching out to at least 30 new people. That's 1 person a day or however many people a week. I'm bad at math. So when I was first building my business, now in the beginning, like the first 1.5 to 2 years, I was not being consistent. I would do the whole not do anything in the beginning of the month and scramble at the end and somehow hit it. But once I got consistent, I was adding 30 to 60 new people a week to my contact list. Now 60 is a lot. And I was very overwhelmed in the messages, got a little bit burnt out. So I don't really recommend anybody doing 60 unless you have that time. But I was doing minimum 15 people a week, if it, like definitely, but at least 30 people a week. Cause then I knew at the end of the month, that was 120 people I was reaching out to. There was no way at least 3 people out of 120 people weren't going to. And the process I follow, which I teach all the time, is build a contact list, build the relationship, invite to a free group, invite to a challenge group, follow up. And I do those 5 things over and over and over again. So many times people are just inviting right to a challenge group, which isn't bad, but I like to always invite to a free group first, because I build a contact list of, let's say 15 people a week. At the end of the month, I have 60 people. So for my new month, I invite 60 people to my clean week group. That means I maybe get 15 to 20 people in there, which means out of 15 to 20 people, I can probably get 3 people into my challenge group, which I'm also on top of that sending coach invites. So if you follow that formula versus floating around and just reaching out to random people, you will hit Success Club. Too many times coaches are just floating around with their business. You have to have a system. I promise you, if you do 15 people in your contact list each week, build up the relationship, invite 60 people to your clean eating group, and, get those people into your challenge group, you will consistently hit Success Club. Because the thing about it is maybe if it doesn't happen this month, that's 60 people that you reached out to. And then it's 120. And by the end of the year, you have a huge people. I have people I'm following up with that keep telling me no, that, and they keep, saying they're interested, that I've been reaching out to for the past 2 years. So it just kind of, it's like that, the Dutch waterfalls that like scoop up water and then dump them out. The more people you do that consistent, build relationships, invite to clean week, invite to challenge group, follow up until they say yes with, at the end of the year, you're going to have a crap ton of people to follow up with. That's why this business is a late gratification business. And the work you do right now will usually not show up for another 3 months. But that doesn't mean it's successful.
So you're saying the contacts that you're adding or whatever are people that are like responding to you, that are you're having conversations with? Because like if you reach out to like 10 people and only 5 respond, that's 5 new people that you can add to your list because they're talking back to you.
Yeah, they obviously have to respond, because believe me, when I sent out my messages and my hey girl, like just getting to know people, not everybody's responding, but I'm also doing call to actions and messaging the likers, and I'm also doing cold coach invites. I'm doing other things too. But if you consistently just do that, you know that you're always adding people in, because sometimes the cold coach invites, we know we're not always consistent with that. We know we're always not consistent with messaging the likers. So if we can always be consistent with that, you have a constant in your business, and everything else just piles on. And when all of those mash together, at the end of the month, you consistently have just the right amount of people. And I've been doing that system for, I'd say, for 3 years now, after being a coach for 5 years. And I never have a problem hitting Success Club 10 ever, because I've just been so consistent with doing that.
I feel like I would give my right arm to like sit down with you for an entire month and just like learn your system completely. And then it's like when you get a new job, like they sit there and they'll teach you like how to do things.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, I got this.
Well, if you want, because I know you've been a coach for a while, I have a 21-day coach training, and you could look through the 21 days, because a lot of stuff you already know. You could probably look at the days. There's a day in there where I teach it. It's called the ADOS formula. I hate the name, but my mentor put that name on it, and that formula and that system, I have like a whole system of what I use. I also share my Google Streak, which I think I'm going to do sometime this month, a new Google Streak webinar, and teach how to do Google Streak. So. But message me after the call, and I can like send you all the stuff so you can check it out.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Okay, so does anybody, because we only have 5 minutes left, so hopefully that was enough time for you guys to think of things. Does anybody feel vulnerable enough to share their purpose? Hopefully somebody's gotten it, because you guys got a lot of time to write it down.
I'll share mine.
Yay!
I actually watched your video that you made, kind of similar to this. I guess it was like right after, so I've been kind of thinking about it for a little while.
Yeah.
But I struggle a lot with kind of like self-belief and believing in myself. And after personal development books, I know that like I'm my biggest roadblock pretty much. So my purpose is I want to believe in other women until they learn to believe in themselves.
I love that. That's awesome.
That's it.
That's something to write on a water bottle.
Right?
That's great. And if you put that up on a sticky note, and that's something, again, you can work for every single day, but you'll never obtain. You know what I mean? Like that, that really hones in on that message. Anybody else want to share? Wait, somebody had a question. When you say invite to free, do you mean clean or meditating. So I always mean free clean eating group, but I do invite to my meditation group. So if someone says no to my clean eating group, I usually always have my meditation group, and people are a lot more likely to say yes to that because it's not connected to Beachbody. Because some people, not that Beachbody's bad, but some people just have a weird connotation toward it. But if I can get them in my meditation group and they build trust with me, they're not going to care if I'm selling like poop popsicles. They're going to want to join me because they're like, oh my gosh, like I just love Alexis's vibe. Like if they connect with me, if they're my people. So if you can figure, that's why I'm so big. And I've talked about this a bunch of times. I swear, guys, if there's something you're good at that is not health and fitness, like Talia said, she's making baby food. If you know how to sew, if you are really organized and you can organize a closet, or maybe you like to color code your closet, like people will eat that stuff up. Like that's why BuzzFeed and their little articles are so awesome. People love that stuff. So if you can figure out a way to just create a little 5-day group, and if you don't know how to create it, but you have an idea, message me. I will help you do it. Anybody else want to share their purpose statement? No one.
I guess I can share mine.
Yeah, yes you can.
Well, as you guys know, I went through hell, through this, not this journey with, being, I hate using the word victim, but, the term. But as a rape victim and as a single mother and everything, so my purpose is basically helping women take their lives back from a situation, either becoming a single mother or going through something horrible. So I know how it is to go through the process of everything, and coaching has helped me out a lot. So I want to basically, my purpose is to help those women who need that faith, that hope to get their lives back. That's my purpose.
I like that you said get there. I think you said something about getting their life back or getting their power back, which I think is super powerful. I know when you posted in the team page and you said you were, going to court, and we were all like, go Jo Marie, and then you said everything worked out. Oh my gosh, I was like, I forget, I think I was out somewhere. I think I was actually really weird, but I'm pretty sure I was in the bathroom on the toilet when I read that, and I was like in the bathroom, I was like, woo, and I'm sure people heard me, but I was like, it's really cool. I remember specifically reading that, and I was so happy for you. So yes, you guys are doing exactly, or wording it and getting it. I was hoping that it would come through. Does that make sense though, the difference between your why and your purpose, and really honing in on that? And if you're a newer coach and you don't have that just yet, it's okay. You will figure it out. Yes, for real. Okay, awesome. So, does anybody else want to share? If not, that's okay. And if anybody wants to share later on, maybe if you think about it and you want to share when I share the recording of this call in the team page, you can always share in the comment section if that makes you more comfortable. But just remember, sharing these things, not even just on team call, but sharing them with other coaches, with another coach on the team or anything, just saying it out loud versus just to yourself is very, very powerful for you and for bringing that energy back in. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. I know it was a long call. It's okay. Message me. If any of you guys are kind of struggling, message me your list. Take a picture of it, send it to me. I will help you figure it out. I like doing this stuff, so just message me, and I will totally help you figure it out. No big deal. Awesome. Okay, guys, I'll talk to you later. Peace out, guys. Bye.